Hello all, good morning. Today I am covering AWS Lambda service. The AWS Lambda is a compute service. This is one of the important service for the examination point of view and for the developers whoever is looking to work as a developers. Lambda is very commonly used service and most recommended to execute the application code when the code can run independently without requirement of running the code on the infrastructure. Okay, we'll see what is Lambda. So AWS Lambda is a compute service that let you run code without provisioning or managing services. So basically you are not worried about administration part of your infrastructure. Like AWS will take care of uh, uh, hosting your code on a appropriate server. Basically, AWS provides runs the code on all high-end servers to ensure that you get the better performance and highest speed for you to execute your code, running on the better infrastructure and the better network. So all you need to worry about uh, your code, your business logic. You can implement your code from the scratch, or you can use a lot of, there are so many blueprints available in the AWS that you can use, which are common business functionality is already built. So here, this is the highest level of a cloud service, basically, where you are dealing with only your code. You are not creating a virtual private network. You are not creating routers, load balancers. You are not creating servers. Only you are just executing your code. Your web server may be on your on-premises. Your web server may be running on AWS cloud, which need the business functionality to be executed. That can be deployed in your web server as well. And that can also be used by Lambda, and you can invoke AWS Lambda from your web server. There are so many AWS services also can invoke Lambda, and Lambda can interact based on your code to with other services. Okay. So AWS Lambda executes your code only when needed and scales automatically from a few requests per day to thousands per second. So AWS is the one of the strongest feature of AWS cloud services is auto scaling and scale in, scale out. Like when you have demand to run thousands of requests per second without any additional maintenance, any additional resource provisioning, automatically cloud will take care of creating multiple instances on it may run on so many various servers, or your code may be running with other AWS Lambda functions apart. So based on your demand, it will provision the resources and ensure that you are getting the response time as required. If you run, you may not run any request in a day, then you are not charged, and AWS is also not charging for the storage of your code. Okay, you pay only for the compute time consumed. There is no charge when your code is not running. Okay, there is no charge when your code is not running. No matter what the code is, like your code may be 10,000 line, 100,000 line, or whatever. For the free tier, AWS services are providing 75 GB. You can have 75 GB worth of your business logic code deployed in Lambda without any charge. With AWS Lambda, you can run code for virtually any type of application or backend service, all with zero administration. So administration is zero. You don't need to worry about managing the servers or any other administration tasks. AWS Lambda runs your code on a highly availability compute infrastructure and performs all of the administration of the computing resources, including server and operating system maintenance, capacity provisioning, and automatic scaling, code monitoring, and logging, which is what we are just discussed about. So when you have your own servers, you may need to periodically update the security patches and bug fixes and all that stuff. That is taken care by AWS team, and it's like transparent. We have yeah, it never let your code down. So it all taken care by AWS. When should I use AWS Lambda? AWS Lambda is an ideal compute platform for many application scenarios. Provide that you can write your application code in languages supported by AWS Lambda. Okay, so you have your application on premises and you are migrating your application from on premises to AWS cloud services. At that point, as a solution architect, you need to decide whether you need to go with a EC2 instance where you can deploy all your code, Java code or .NET code or whatever, or else you can use a Lambda service. So basically, what are the Lambda features and whether you that is sufficient for your code to run. If Lambda is sufficient to run your code, AWS always recommends to use Lambda rather going yourself creating a EC2 instance. Okay, if your code need a specific version of operating system and specific patch levels, and you need to run your own maintenance, in that case you may have to go with EC2. And your code is independent and like all you worry about the business logic, then you can go with Lambda. So yeah, when you're going for a AWS solution architect examination, the questions, when the question is related to AWS Lambda, you always go with AWS Lambda if it can be applicable. In the scenario-based question, the question itself can give you the hints like if the Lambda can be used or not. Okay, so if you know the background about what are all the languages it supports and how Lambda works, so you can easily compile the answers and see what is the best answer for your question. What languages AWS Lambda supports? AWS Lambda natively supports Java, Go, PowerShell, Node.js, C#, Python, Ruby. There are a lot more. And AWS is continuously adding more languages. Okay, so you may see within few weeks, you may see there are more languages added to this. So so you should always, check for the updates from AWS to see what's going on. Create your own user account and see the updates, how many updates, continuously navigate and go through. And also you can find out the documentation where you can see what are the latest updates, right? Or you can go through the uh, log into the AWS cloud and go through the services and see what are the new features added to each service. So here is the small example I put here. In the middle icon is Lambda, which is going to execute. In a few examples as a source here, I gave the first one is API gateway, application program interface, which can make a HTTPS calls with the parameters, and it can invoke a Lambda event, and the Lambda can execute the code, whatever the code is deployed in the Lambda, and process the information and send it to whichever the target applications, like this is a CloudWatch and this is the SNS simple notification service, and here is the simple queue service, SQS. So Lambda can put the information into various other services. Login and we will log in and see what are the source applications and what are the target applications so that we can transmit the data. Here in the source S3 bucket also, you can see that we are going to explore in this session how to use AWS S3 simple storage service S3 bucket event to invoke the Lambda and then upload the data into the CloudWatch logs. Okay. Data processing. You can use AWS Lambda to execute code in response to triggers such as change in data, shift in system state, or actions by users. Okay. Lambda can be directly triggered by AWS service such as S3, DynamoDB, Kinesis, SNS, and CloudWatch. Can connect to existing EFS file system. Lambda can connect to existing EFS file system and query the files. All we need to write the code and define the events. It works as a trigger, right? This allows you to build a variety of real-time serverless data processing system. Okay, real-time file processing. You can use Amazon S3 to trigger AWS Lambda to process data immediately after an upload. Okay, this is what we are going to do in this session. You can also connect to an existing EFS file system directly, which enables massively parallel shared access for large-scale file system. EFS is an elastic file system service, which is also referred as NFS in standard Unix servers. You can use NFS to mount external storage devices. Here, using EFS service, you define a disk drive and which can be mounted on multiple servers, right? So Lambda can directly interact with the EFS file system. Assume that you created a EFS file system of 1 terabyte and mounted on EC2 servers, and you are using Lambda to directly access the EFS file system and read the files to further process. Okay. So basically, what is the purpose? Like your web server data may be stored in EFS file system, and your Lambda may be querying when the event occurs. Okay. So for example, you can use Lambda to thumbnail images. So this is one of the common examples and most industry widely used in these days. Like S3 bucket is used to store the images, and you may need to put thumbnails to your images, and you can use Lambda to put the thumbnails. As soon as the object is uploaded to S3 bucket, Lambda executes and puts the thumbnails to the picture. And transcode videos. If you are uploading any video to S3, that can be transcoded using the Lambda. Okay, the code is yours, how you are transcoding, but the Lambda is going to execute as soon as the video is uploaded. And index files, process logs. You can process the CloudWatch logs. Okay, validate the content and aggregate and filter data. So keep all the the tasks that Lambda can execute in the event. So that will help to help in the exam and also for your day-to-day job. What are the cases the Lambda can be used? Here is a weather application example captured from AWS documentation. So in this example, a static website is hosted on S3 bucket. That you can also try within few minutes. You can create a static website on S3 bucket. There is a separate interface provided in the S3. Let's assume that a user is accessing a static website which is hosted in S3 bucket here, which is a weather application. And suppose I log into the weather application and I want to see the weather condition in my area. So maybe I use zip code or area, a county name or state name, something like that, and then submit. As soon as I submit, then it is going to the static page is deployed with the API gateway and the API gateway is going to create an event to Lambda. And let's say API gateway is sending a zip code to capture the weather, and the weather information is continuously updated to DynamoDB table with other applications. And based on the zip code, and maybe Lambda is also has a functionality to use today's date or whatever, all the conditions, and then capture the data and send it back to AWS, send it back to the weather application. So this is one of the examples. And the other interesting example here AWS gave is IoT, Internet of Things. Here, if you see in the image, there is a tractor which is working in the farm. And imagine if a farming company has, all the machinery in geographically different locations, which are Wi-Fi connected, and they will be continuously updating the information to the cloud about their sensors, like, what are the brake systems, what is the engine oil level, and whatever the regular maintenance sensors information is going to be uploaded to AWS. AWS can use Kinesis, where the data is going to be streamed, and Lambda is going to capture from the data from the Kinesis stream, and based on the data, like this particular tractor is running out of engine oil, and then Lambda can automatically order the engine oil and send it to deliver it to the specific farm. So here, this particular device is sending its address or maybe whatever the code, and then the current status of all the sensor devices, right? So this is one of the good example how much automation we can do. With the AWS Lambda, you pay only for what you use. In some of the examinations, like solution architect, price is also considerable. You need to evaluate which is the cheapest one, which is the option you should go. So here AWS Lambda is a lot cheaper compared to creating your own EC2 environment. So if any possibility to use AWS Lambda service for your code, AWS strongly recommends to use it. AWS charged based on the number of requests for your functions and the duration, the time it takes for your code to execute. Okay, so there is no charge for your code unless it is executed. The AWS Lambda free usage tier includes 1 million free requests. Okay, your free tier, you can execute 1 million free requests per month. As you know, free tier is for 1 year or 8 months something, and you can run your code 1 million per month. So you can imagine how much price you are paying using the Lambda. Okay, so 1 million after the free tier or the regular standard business account, you may charge 20 cents per 1 million requests. And duration, you can see like .000016667 cents, right? That is how much per GB second. Lambda attempts to impose one of the note here you should consider when you are going to use the Lambda. Okay. There are limitations, right? Lambda attempts to impose a few restrictions as possible on normal language and operating system activities. But there are a few activities that are disabled. Inbound network connections are blocked by AWS Lambda. Inbound network connection is not allowed. If your code need inbound connection, Lambda is not the solution. And for outbound connection, only TCP/IP and UDP. For outbound connection, only TCP/IP and UDP IP sockets are supported. No other protocols are supported. Okay. So, and the TCP port 25 traffic is also blocked as an anti-spam measure. So consider this when you are using Lambda. So we are going to see the lab today. What we are going to do is we will be creating a Lambda function, and we are creating a S3 bucket. And then you need to add a event to S3 bucket and edit Lambda function to add your code. So in our example, we are going to add the below code to update CloudWatch logs in the event of S3 bucket. In the event of S3 bucket, like in a S3 bucket, as soon as there is a new object is uploaded, I want to execute the Lambda function and update the CloudWatch logs about the bucket name, in which bucket the object is uploaded, and what is the object name. Here, if you see the code, I am uploading a bucket information into the log file and also the object name here. Okay. And also we need to add an execution role and other parameters. So the Lambda function, we need to add the execution role that we will see. So once we let's log into AWS root account, and okay. So here I am logging into AWS console. I logged in as a root account, and I'm connected to Northern Virginia, US East 1. And here you can see the services, right? Compute services, and under compute services, you have the Lambda function. If you don't find some service, you can also search here, right, by the service name. So let's go to the Lambda function. So here I have created some functions for the testing purpose. And let's create another function for our session. So as I mentioned, there are three different types of ways you can create. You can create a Lambda function using author from scratch. That is like you are building your own, you're implementing your own code. Or if you are migrating your code from on-premises or other data center to AWS cloud, you simply can upload your file by using author from scratch. But here you have use blueprint option. Like there are so many blueprints are already defined, which are very commonly used cases for the cloud services. So if your company need any of these common services, you can start with a blueprint. Okay, in the same way, there are browse serverless app repository also there. So here in this example, in this session today, we are using from scratch. Okay, test 4. So today I am creating a Lambda function by name Sri Lambda test 4, and here is the supported languages you can see. So .NET Core 3 and Go, Java, Node.js. Today I'm using Node.js. And yeah, you can create your own login account and see what are all the languages supported. Okay. And permissions. By default, Lambda will create an execution role with permissions to upload logs to Amazon CloudWatch. Okay. So that is the default one. Okay, create a new role with basic Lambda permissions. I'll use the default one. We will create the execution role later. And here, advanced settings, I am not using any VPC. Okay, but this is going to be created in North Virginia. Okay, so yeah, the region should be same where your S3 bucket and the Lambda function. That's it. That's all we need to create a function. And here is how it looks like the Lambda function editor. This is the designer of Lambda, and it comes with a sample code, but you can use your own code. So I'm replacing this code with my business logic. That is, I'm going to upload the bucket name and the object name into the CloudWatch logs. Okay. And as soon as any changes, you need to deploy the changes here. Okay. The changes are deployed now. Now let me open S3 and Lambda test 4. And now let's go to S3. And here I'm creating a new bucket. Create bucket. Bucket name is something like S3 at the end. And it is in the US Eastern region. Okay, let me give the permissions to make it simple. And acknowledge that this bucket is public. All other options I am taking default. Create the bucket. Okay. So Sri Lambda test for S3 bucket. And there is a one more step we need to do with the bucket. That is invoke the event. Go to the properties of the bucket. And and go to the events. There should be events, yeah, here. And add a notification event. Event name is something like Lambda function name, and then event, and the event occurs in this condition. So here, whenever the new object is uploaded to the bucket, I want to create this event. And you can see how many different options are there. I'm not going to use all those options, but I will be using only upload event. And here prefix images. So you can specify this event to a specific folder or specific object type. I want only JPG files. When the JPG file is uploaded, the event should execute. Or when a specific folder in the bucket is uploaded, then the event should execute. Okay, and what are all we can do with the S3 bucket events? S3 bucket can invoke a Lambda function, right? In the same way, if you see the picture in my presentation, API gateway also has a event that that may have a different services. S3 can invoke these three, and we are using the Lambda function. And which Lambda function? The Lambda function is S3 Lambda test 4. Okay. Now save the event. Now I can see one active event is there. And then